Man,
What are
I
you, the
downloaded
Undertaker?
that whole Deathlock record.
Whoa, we're back. Okay.
Isn't it awesome?
Deathclock.
Fucking Deathlock is badass.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Carbondale, Illinois, November 12th.
Hateocopter.
Yeah, the helicopter, dude. That's
Yeah.
the best ever. They need to bring it down. Deathclock is coming. It's Deathclock.
How to Kill a Vampire.
Well,
How
since
to
we're-
kill a vampire? Well, obviously, like, if you're in any kind of movie, fortuitously, you'll break a window.
It ain't about how to kill a vampire, damn it. It's
And the
who's
sun's
going to
gonna
do
come
it.
in and kill
And
the
that
vampire.
really
Gonna do it.
is about who
'Cause vampires
is
are
killing
stupid.
vampires out there. And there are all kinds of vampire
Death
killers.
by stereo.
There's the wonderful
Death by stereo.
there's the wonderful Peter Cushing.
Yep.
That
various
is the only
incarnations
guy
of
that's going to kill
The real Van Helsing.
right.
Gay vampires.
The
to
only
death.
guy that's going to really kill Christopher Lee is going to have to be Peter Cushing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Moff Tarkin knows how to take out them vampires.
That's right.
That's not true. If you was it the Seven Golden Vampires? The
Right.
Shaw Brothers
Yep.
meets Hammer
Right.
films. Kung Fu will kill a vampire.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
If you got
Yeah.
Kung Fu,
If you want to kill vampires, you
It's
don't
a
go to the Shaw
badass
Brothers.
movie
You go
right
to the
there.
Frog
Seven
Brothers.
the
Golden
Frog Brothers, man. Yes, from the Lost Boys. Corey,
Yeah, if you can fill a bathtub full of garlic and holy
Yeah.
water, yeah, you're okay, I think.
you get your
Guess
squirt
if you're
guns
like
out.
your
All right,
Italian
Just sit in
grandmother's
there
house.
with a
Okay,
picture
like
of
if
Paulina
you're-
Herzegovina and just wait a minute.
Yeah. If you're at your Italian grandmother's house, it's probably a bathtub full of garlic.
So if we're talking about how because obviously if
Big
we have
shower.
these terrifying undead walking around, and
Yes, who's going to protect us from
who's
these
going to protect
beasts?
us from them? What are they going to use? So what are the tools of the trade, so to speak, in the
Holy water's number one. It's got to
Holy
be number
water.
one.
Holy water.
Yeah.
Steaks.
Steaks for the daytime.
Crucifix.
Crucifix if you're religious. Apparently, they didn't work too well if you're not
That's-
religious.
You know, Marvel Comics was the ones who first fomented that whole you have to have faith to use the crucifix. Up until then, you could use you could basically take two pencils, stick them together,
Oh, and it freaked them
make
out.
the sign of
Yeah.
the cross, and
Well-
the most powerful vampire would just turn and run.
Yeah, I mean, in I Am Legend,
And it wasn't until Kitty Pryde tried to kill Dracula,
not so
I
much.
think it had
the
popped
book,
up in a
but
few
and that just
the,
opened
books
up
here and
my
there.
nerd.
in Omega Man. I mean, in subsequent.
Those aren't vampires, though.
Well, in Omega Man they weren't, but they
Yeah.
were
I Am Legend.
averse to religious icons because of their feelings towards their state. They were kind of repelled by what they were once.
Didn't they have a nuclear bomb, or was that Escape from the Planet of the Apes?
Escape from Planet of
Because
the
every Charlton Heston film.
What was
just
under,
No,
it
Chuck
was- that
was-
was beneath the
no,
Planet of the Apes.
when
that
his
blew up the
portrayal of
the
Robert
atom
Neville-
bomb.
Well, I mean, there weren't vampires
They
in
pull off
that,
the
but they
masks.
were averse to light, and they, did have a problem with But at any rate, I mean, he did. I mean, they repel in much the same way. Repelled vampires with garlic and light and that sort of thing, and that's the thing. It's so with same thing with Last Man on Earth. Is you had garlic work
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. Garlic was the thing. Holy water, crosses or religious icons, depending on what you're really up against. But I mean the cross.
I
is
wonder
always
why
gonna be
ultimately
the thing.
garlic is considered something that
I
would
don't
repel
know.
a vampire. You can understand the iconography of the cross, holy water.
Do you think it's because it was something readily available even to poor people?
I think it's because the Italians have generally fought vampires
No,
more
it comes
than
before
anybody else.
it's before.
Man,
the-
okay. Now we're talking about the tools of the trade and who's
Wops.
fighting vampires here.
The Vatican.
The Vatican, man.
Apparently
And
the
I mean
Dutch.
that's in the middle of Rome. How are you going to get more Italian than that? It's just a bunch of guys with bad breath. They're they eat all the spaghetti and then they go fight vampires. They know when the garlic's coming. You could be a priest because that's the thing. You don't want your reverend to go fight vampires. You don't want your Episcopalian, whatever you have. go
You
and
like
fight
a Vatican
vampires.
hit
You don't,
squad.
you don't want nobody goes to the Baptist to fight vampires.
No.
No. It's all about the Catholics.
Yeah.
The Catholics fight vampires.
I mean, if you
Well-
want teenagers to quit dancing in your town, you go to the Baptist. But
Yeah.
if you want to fight vampires, you go to the Catholic Church.
right.
Well, and honestly, garlic was associated with a lot of positive health aspects.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
even in the Victorian era.
Is there a direct
Yeah,
relation
yeah.
to like garlic and like? Because it's something I probably should have researched before we did this, because it would be interesting to see like why they chose like, garlic.
Research.
I realize that like garlic will cause a wound to like infect easier.
Really?
Yep.
We're freestyling.
Yeah,
We don't even
there's a
research.
certain myth that like
wiki.
a lot of places use where they like take their bullets and they'll like cover their bullets in garlic, and supposedly like back in ancient times they would cover their blades with garlic
No, I didn't
because
know that.
apparently
Maybe
it
that does
causes
have
wounds
something
to
do with it.
infect much easier. I don't know.
I imagine
I don't know that it's necessarily
Smearing
true. I'm
food
not
of
gonna,
any kind on your like edged weapon is
Yeah.
probably not a really good
yeah, but I mean, if
idea.
you're gonna go that far, you might as well dip your sword
Well,
in
it's a
shit.
great idea if you've got an edged weapon.
It's like,
and
I
use
just
it.
took a big old Taco Bell
sure.
crap.
I mean,
Here
you're like,
you go.
yes.
Well, like,
Covered
they said
with
like the
crap.
punji steak traps. They used to put poop on them.
Yeah, they shouldn't have.
Why we don't cover our weapons in pig's blood now? I don't know.
Well, I mean that's yeah. I mean
We're
that's
too
just-
busy drinking it.
Yeah,
Sweet. Bacon
but
and
yeah,
pig's
I
blood.
mean the tools of the trade of the vampire hunter, and then you get to. I mean, there's so many people that have been vampire hunters, but yeah, the Frog Brothers from the Lost Boys. I mean,
Yes.
Who was the other frog brother? I mean, obviously Corey Feldman.
it was
Corey
Corey Feldman
Haim.
And that one dude with the brown hair that nobody gives a fuck about.
I don't know who it was.
Like
but I mean,
lost to the ages. And
But
he's
they
the
were
one
great.
he's the one that like shows all the good comic books and
because
like
they worked in a comic book store.
busts
Yeah.
out all the
That's
knowledge and stuff.
That's how he
Corey
knew all the
Feldman's
Because that's how they
kind of
knew.
stuff back
That's
in, like,
how they
these
knew
cool-
how to
Yeah.
fight vampires.
Yeah,
They
it was
worked
from
in a
comic
comic book
books,
store.
yeah.
They read the
And
Blade
they
comic
knew.
books.
That's
Well, Tomb
right.
of Dracula is what he was
Tomb
in.
of Dracula.
Now, if you really worked in a comic book store, what are you going to know about? You're going to know about Morbius, the living vampire,
Who wasn't really a
who
vampire.
has a mustache.
Yeah.
And wasn't really a vampire.
Because
It's
if
a
you
blood
if
disease.
you got a mustache, you're a Marvel Comics vampire. Because Dracula got
Dracula
a
had a
mustache.
mustache.
Yep.
Marvel Comics.
But
is-
Marvel Comics,
Marvel
had
Comics
Tomb
has
of Dracula.
equated mustaches with vampires and Iron Man, and that's it.
DC's
Tony
vampire
Stark.
was the comic book was period vampire.
Yeah.
And of course in the Creature Commandos the vampire's name was Velcro the vampire.
Velcro.
Yes.
Velcro's a good
Before
name for a vampire.
Velcro was invented.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, Velcro. The
Yeah,
vampire.
it's
Yeah, you got comic nerds on this end of the table.
Yeah. So.
fighting against the Nazis.
But
That's how bad the Nazis
Morbius
were.
had that
Vampire
cool,
was fighting
like,
them.
he had that cool
Yeah.
like blue lycra suit
Yeah.
that showed off his chest, and he had that like
I
you
thought
know,
that was
chest
Morbius.
pussy like going on there.
Well, that's the thing.
and
It's
then he had, like, the
Morbius
red
wasn't really a
wings.
vampire.
Well, yeah, but they played him out.
He was sort of a vampire.
No, he had a blood disease that
Yeah, the
gave him
things that-
vampiric qualities.
Well,
What
yeah,
are
but
those
that
things
was their
in his
explanation
hands?
of a vampire.
Yeah.
It was more or less like the scientific vampire.
Yeah, he was
rather
a
than,
scientific vampire
Right.
versus a supernatural
Like,
vampire.
yeah, not a supernatural vampire, which is really the.
Because Marvel's supernatural vampire was Dracula.
Well, we could have the same talk about
Right.
zombies with 28 Days Later.
Right. I
Like-
mean,
Yeah.
it's the supernatural zombie
Zombies versus
the
really bad
scientific
movie.
But
no.
What? Which
That
one's
movie
the
was
really
terrible. 28 Days
28
Later.
Days Later
Yeah,
is
I
a
like
good
28
movie. You're
Days Later.
crazy, man. You
Garbage.
just
I
hate
agree.
anything good.
Oh,
Yeah.
you
Go
just
watch
garbage.
Napoleon
The
Dynamite,
only
you
difference,
scrub.
it was terrible.
Oh,
we
oh,
run
enough
fast
of
and
that,
we're
though.
mad.
So yeah, we
Alright,
talked
okay.
about we talked about Peter Cushing though. Peter Cushing is in my top of the list for vampire hunters as being Van Helsing, but Van Helsing's been treated badly through the years. I mean, you
Oh
had
God, they had Anthony
Yeah.
Hopkins play him.
Anthony
Yeah.
Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins is the biggest hack on the planet. That guy's terrible.
I like Anthony Hopkins, but I
You
do
like him
not
because
like
of
him.
Silence of the Lambs. Name another role.
Magic.
Yeah,
Stop it.
where he played
Stop
the guy.
it.
Yeah,
He's good
that's
in
a
that.
great movie. I
He
love
was
that.
good in that.
He's got the puppet and all. That's great.
I mean, he was. I mean, it's
And
not like
you
Jack
hate 28
Nicholson.
Days Later. It's
Yes.
like you have such a strange like critical criteria.
Well, 28 Days Later was supposed to be a good movie.
It was a
Because
good
it
movie.
was.
It wasn't a good movie.
I disagree. It was a good
It was
movie.
poorly acted. Nobody acted like anybody
David,
would
I'm gonna
act. It was
steer
just
this
garbage.
Poorly acted.
Poorly
Back on
acted.
track.
The people
I
in the
thought the
movie,
acting was
all they
fine.
did was
Right
run
in the
and
back.
growl.
Garbage. It's garbage.
How do you
So,
act that
I was
poorly?
Hugh Jackman's
Bored. The only reason
portrayal
I
of
didn't
Van
leave in the
Helsing.
middle of that movie is because I was with somebody seeing the movie, and they thought the exact same way that I did.
I was
So
hoping that would
I
bring
ended up marrying
everybody
her.
out of this. And somebody would go, "Oh, what
How's
an
that
awful
working out?
son of a bitch that was." Hugh
I hadn't had
Jackman.
to see-
Speak on record. It's
Do you want to
being
know how well it's
recorded
working
right
out? You want to know how well it's working out? I didn't have to go see the sequel.
The sequel was pretty good.
I haven't seen that yet.
I thought so. I
haven't
thought
seen
28
it.
Weeks
I've
Later
missed
was
so
great.
many movies though, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, I mean, you have like the hunters, like with Blade. Blade is a
I was so mad about that movie
Blade was
because growing up, the Tomb of Dracula comic books I had, Blade wore like a red leather jumpsuit, had an afro, and he was all like, "I'm gonna stab you in the heart, you honky bloodsucker." So I'm like, they're making a Blade movie? This movie is going to be the most awesome movie ever made. This is going to be great.
That's why I love the Venture Brothers.
And then
The
I get there and
Jefferson
it's like-
Twilight, Blackula
The Venture
Hunter.
Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
We can't go that
Venture
far.
Brothers.
We got to stop now.
Oh no, man! Jefferson Twilight is the best.
Jefferson is
Jefferson Twilight is great.
Jefferson
I
Twilight,
hunt
Blackula,
Blackulas. It's like,
Dracula's.
you mean the guy was trying to be
Blackulas.
PC, and he was like,
Yeah, yeah.
"You mean African American Draculas?" He's like, "No,
No.
man, they could be black from another country. I hunt Blackulas.
That's right.
They could be from like England or Kenya."
Jefferson Twilight's awesome.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, he is.
Voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, and I think one of his greatest roles ever.
Who was the vampire hunter in Blackula?
Jeez,
I
I
don't.
don't think I've seen that
I don't
in
even
10 years.
remember.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. in a
That's
long
why I was
time.
so like,
Blackula's
my biggest problem with like talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula. I read it when I was like 13 years old,
You know, I've never made.
and
it
I
through
had no
Dracula.
appreciation for it when I was
It's-
13 years old.
It's a kind of a tough.
I thought it was
read.
dull.
I just
It is
really.
dull.
It's to me. It's a. Movie.
It might not be dull
It's
if I
not
read
a
it.
movie,
No, it is.
But I have read Anne Rice. I can't like be a.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hate to do the Simpsons thing, but Black Dracula versus was it Blackula versus Black Dracula? I'm gonna turn this roller disco into a hockey rink, more like a honky rink.
See, we really did skip Blackula. Blackula's
Yeah.
great because
Yeah.
his afro.
Blackula is awesome.
Blackula's afro connected to his eyebrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which connected
It-
to his fucking goatee.
Yeah,
Yes.
he had like the
a
great
sure sign of
sideburns
vampirism.
Way
that
too much for
connected
this
to
show.
his eyebrows. Which
a sure
I
sign of
know.
vampirism.
He was a hairy.
All your hair connects.
Because in the beginning, like Dracula turns him into, and he goes, "I will call you Blackula." And he actually says that, which is the best.
Who's the black undead dick?
Well, he was.
Sex machine with all the chicks.
Shut your mouth.
Blackula.
But yeah,
it's a good
that's
movie.
Jefferson Twilight, Blackula Hunter. And then you have, the problem I think with Blade was the execution was all wrong. They made him out to be like everything he did, was all like a blade. Like he never just had regular conversations with people. There was always something super poignant that he had to say. But yeah, he talked all the damn time. But there was always just stuff for him to. I don't know. It had Tracy Lords in it playing a vampire, which is all right. And they did go to the
Yeah,
vampire
one of the
disco.
sequels have Patton Oswalt in it.
When
When he like the nerd computer guy in the second one or the third one?
I don't think that was Patton Oswalt.
I think Patton Oswalt's in one of them. I had never watched any of the three all the way through. I've kind of like flipped back and forth.
Well,
can't even
in the
recall
okay,
the
yeah.
sequels, so I
But it
don't know
brings
if
up
I've
like
seen 'em.
the type of vampires that
Can we go back to talking about Near Dark?
Yeah.
well you had like the gun-toting vampires and
Yeah.
such like that. You had like a lot more gun-toting vampires in those movies.
Well, then you go on to like
Underworld.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Right.
Jason. Where they've developed bullets that have ultraviolet light in them.
Mhm.
Right.
Or the werewolves, I guess, developed the bullets with the
Right.
ultraviolet
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Right.
So now they can shoot vampires, and when the bullet, like, I guess, breaks open,
Yes.
Light comes
because
out.
I guess
Why couldn't they just
whoever
put
wrote
crosses on
whoever
them
wrote
or-
whoever wrote
Right.
that
They
whoever
did
wrote
that,
that decided
though,
that like when a bullet was fired from a semi-automatic weapon, the jacket goes with it.
Right.
Because when you
I-
watch it,
yeah.
you see like the jacket come out of the
Yeah.
bullet and the jacket come out.
Really?
Of Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
There's a slow motion shot that like made me laugh out loud in the movie, and he fires like it looks like looks like a Beretta.
Okay.
And when he fires it, like the bullet you see this slow motion shot of the bullet leaving the barrel, and the bullet still has the jacket on it.
oh, really?
Like the jacket
Yeah.
wasn't ejected from the chamber,
Because the glass wouldn't break when
Right.
it was fired.
and the bullet itself was like,
Yeah,
like
glass
this little
bullets
piece of
are
glass. Right. that the explosion of gas in the gun wouldn't break the glass. and then it fires and it's got like the jacket on it, and then when it
It's actually a
strikes
BB
it,
gun.
the jacket and the
It's an air
glass
rifle.
break apart, and then there's like ultraviolet light is released
Yeah.
onto the vampire, and then the vampire dies.
Yeah, it's pretty loose.
Tenuous.
But the vampires had silver bullets.
And there were
Well,
actually
but
a
it was
few
the
movies where
liquid.
silver affected vampires.
Yeah, silver has been in and out of affecting
Silver
vampires.
always affects the undead.
But then in Bram
Yes.
Stoker's
It doesn't
Dracula,
kill them
like, he can walk
immediately,
around
but
in the
like if you
daytime.
go up to Dracula and you stab him with like a Faberware butcher knife, you're not going to do any damage at all. But if you use silver or magic,
Of +1 or better?
well, it can't be
I
magic
don't
if it
even-
doesn't have a plus.
Well, it could be magic without a plus.
Not really.
Uh,
We're going to
it's-
argue on that.
I don't know if
It
any.
can be.
I don't know. If
But I'm
any
saying
We're
weapons-
going to be like plus
Your
zero?
Dungeons and Dragons, it's silver
Plus a
weapons
half?
or
yeah,
or
silver
magic
weapons
weapons of.
cause damage.
Yeah.
Or plus weapons. Yeah.
And I
magic.
mean,
And
if
those are
anybody
called
knows,
magic
if
weapons.
anybody understands monsters, it's Gary Gygax.
Was.
And those who helped
E.
him
Gotta
write
go with
the
the
Gary
Monster
on that
Manual.
one. Gotta go with Gary. Gary knows how to kill a vampire.
Another famous vampire, Count Strahd
Count Strahd.
from
Yeah.
Ravenloft.
Yep. Yep.
Good call.
Good
Blah.
stuff.
Well, nerdy call. But
The
Or just
first
the black-
edition, good stuff.
Hey,
but then
can
they
anybody
kinda
tell me where
screwed it
the
up a
first
little bit.
instance of blood comes from? It's not.
It's
in,
gotta
it's not
be-
in Universal's Dracula.
It's
gotta
got to
be
be somebody
trilogy.
spoofing
Universal's
Bela
Dracula.
Lugosi.
sure.
See, which I think
But
is
who?
the best.
But
was
Bela
done
Lugosi never
living-
says blood.
No.
Love
And I'm
the
just trying to
bite
find what is the first
was the
instance of
best
some
with-
dude going, blood, I'm a vampire.
George Hamilton rocks. I'm sorry.
He never even said it
No,
No.
but he was awesome.
It was
with
awesome.
his suntan.
Dude, he's awesome. That was the irony of the thing.
Yes.
The most
Irony.
suntan
I
man
don't
playing
think
going out
that's
in
even
sunlight.
irony.
Well, the thing is, it was almost a spoof of the Frank Langella movie that came out like 2 years earlier.
Right, but just because it brought to light
Because the joke was is that he was super handsome and he was Count Dracula,
right.
which was the
We're
whole
all
movie
eating
about Frank
Halloween
Langella.
candy, by the way.
Yeah.
Halloween. How are we not?
Yeah, why not?
We've got dark Snickers. No light Snickers.
Yeah.
Arr, ham.
Feast.
Ham elemental.
The ham elemental just describes everything, and that's an Adam. I've got to give that up. That's an Adam Heitkemper
High camper.
Oh yeah.
description, and I miss Adam Heitkemper.
I do too. I talked to him today. He was at his folks' house. He wasn't going to be able to do anything until after 9. So
Till after the sun went down.
I'm going to go ahead and say it.
After the
He's the
sun went
greatest member of Destructomundo.
Adam
Yeah.
rocks.
He's it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name who's the greatest.
No.
'cause,
I'm
you
gonna
know,
go ahead and say, as a listener, as an avid fan, you know, James is the master of ceremonies, but Adam is the glue that holds it all together.
Oh, I love Adam. I'll go
Yeah,
on
he's
record.
great, dude.
I don't love him in a tingly
We're
sort
gonna
of way.
we're gonna talk about the A team now. Ted, mouth breather.
I bought my
I love
first pistol
Ted.
from Adam.
Ted's
Really?
awesome.
Yeah.
I
Ted be
wouldn't surprise
breathing
me.
all over the microphone.
Ted actually actively patrols for werewolves. I have you know,
on his bike,
dude. He walks
on his bicycle.
He walks the street and patrols for werewolves. I've called him plenty of times. What are you up to? Patrolling. Which brings us, you know, kind of back to where we were with
Hunters.
Hunters. Buffy. Now, a lot of people hate it. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm a big Buffy.
I've only seen the movie, and I enjoyed the movie.
Oh, the movie.
The movie, I did like the movie.
Has
the movie
nothing.
doesn't compare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big, series
See, I
fan
don't know about
of
the
Buffy.
TV show.
Herman.
Yeah, the movie was kind of.
I like the
little
movie,
Pee Wee
but
Herman
I'm a
saves
big
the
Well,
movie.
see, you're
There's no
you're
doubt
looking
about
at it
that.
through the lenses of from somebody who watches the TV show.
I love
When
the
I first
TV.
saw the movie, it was a very funny movie. It was enjoyable.
It was okay. I don't think I would have dropped.
I mean, it didn't say it
everything.
deserves the Oscar for greatest movie ever, like like Highlander got. You ever seen Talladega Nights?
Oh, God.
But it was an
Kurgan a
enjoyable movie.
vampire?
No,
No.
No.
but Buffy deserves a place in history as a
A
qualified
place for
vampire
Rutger
hunter.
Hauer to release his inner fag.
We see well, no, I meant Rutger Hauer plays two vampires. He plays Dracula in Dracula 2000, like the Ascension.
Oh, God, that was awful.
And the one before that, the one with Jason Scott Lee, or is it after that? But Dracula 2000 had, Dracula in New Orleans, and like, what's his name from Train Spotting was in it, Hackers. He's like the heir to the Van Helsings and stuff like that, and he goes after him. What's Johnny something? What's the guy from? You know who I'm talking about from Train Spotting and Hackers?
Man, I avoided
Johnny was
Dracula 2000.
married to.
I've only seen bits and
Like,
pieces
I
of
know what
it.
you're talking about, but
Okay.
I don't know his
Well,
name.
okay, somebody knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, he's like a Van Helsing, and he fights against Gerard Butler, and Gerard Butler is Dracula in that. And then
It's the whole Judas aspect that I was like,
yeah, because he's Judas, right.
it was awful.
But then later, they have like Dracula in the other films as being like just old, from years and years ago,
Yeah.
and it changes up the whole idea of it, and then
Well,
it
then
goes,
there's some that say like Cain is the father of the vampires.
yeah, that's the whole
That's
thing.
a
in the
White Wolf thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Cain is vampires. He kills Abel, and God punishes him by saying that
He's walked
you'll
the earth
live
forever,
forever.
or
You
whatever.
gotta
right,
walk
the mark that God
Yeah.
puts on him is vampirism.
Yeah. So, like, he's immortal.
It's a
because of
metaphor.
that.
Which more
Everybody
imaginative than
knows
Nathaniel
Cain
R.
was fine.
Hawthorne's giant red A.
Yeah. But but yeah, the idea of Dracula in those movies was that he was a force of evil from way long time ago,
Yeah.
and that like being Dracula was only like a what do you say? It was like a conceit, like he just wore he wore the identity to scare people because it scared people.
Right.
But he was older than that and more of like a force of evil.
I think that's a little stretching the original story.
Well, it had the
Kinda-
whole idea of like the priests that fight vampires and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So you
which
have
is
that.
dumb.
And then since we're talking about like hunters and that sort of thing, I mean, you have that like renegade priest type that hunts vampires, like
Right.
which one of the Baldwin brothers is in the Dracula or
Chris,
in
Bill,
vampires?
Sam, Papa Smurf,
I think it was
Man, I don't remember the fat one. Like
Aquaman.
And then Adam Baldwin, isn't that the fat one?
I don't know.
The
Is
one that
it
used to be on
Adam?
Homicide
Adam
Life on the
Baldwin's
Streets.
the one in.
It's not Adam Baldwin from My Bodyguard.
No.
The one that's on.
Well,
he's
see,
not
there's
an
My
actual
Bodyguard.
brother.
I know what you're talking
with Matt
about.
Damon and that other
My
guy?
Bodyguard's got Adam Baldwin in it. Adam Baldwin's not.
Serenity.
He's the one.
Who was the
from
bodyguard? Was that's the guy that was on Full Metal Jacket? That's the
Animal Mother.
Animal Mother.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna die for a
And
word,
Predator
my word
2.
is poontang.
Poontang. What is that guy's name? That
I
guy's
never
a
understood
badass.
why in Predator 2 he was like the computer guy.
Yeah, it
That
doesn't
was
make
like,
much
oh man,
sense.
this guy's awesome. He's going to shoot the Predator or something or get killed by the Predator. Nah, he stayed in a van
Adam
and played on the
Baldwin
computer.
was the guy
Right.
in Firefly.
Yeah, he was in Firefly.
I didn't see that either.
Oh man,
I
the
know, I
best
know.
TV show on TV.
Derek hates it. He absolutely hates Firefly. I made him watch
He's
the movie
wrong.
one night. I was like, I've never
Serenity?
seen it. You gotta watch
Well,
the movie. And he was like,
you really
"You're
gotta
gonna
watch
make me
the.
watch this.
You gotta watch the show before you watch the movie.
No, he hated it. He doesn't like what's his name very much at all.
Joss Whedon.
Yeah, except for Buffy. He does Buffy.
He likes Buffy but hates Firefly.
Buffy has like 7 seasons or something crazy like
7.
that. I mean, like,
There's 7 seasons.
and she fights all kinds of vampires. So there's like,
She's a vampire hunter.
right,
That's like her job.
Yeah.
so like Angel.
They'd be like, wow, Jeremiah, you make a lot of
Is her big
drinks.
boyfriend
I
and
work at
stuff
a
in there?
bar.
She fucks Angel.
all the time,
Yeah.
apparently, and she feels
Was
bad
he,
about
is,
it.
is Angel a
And
vampire?
he's
Yeah.
super sensitive Angel.
Yeah. he's
Well, his
one-
name's Angel.
He's a
but,
brooding
But he used to be a
vampire.
bad vampire, but a
And
gypsy's
jealous.
curse turned him into a good vampire.
When
Like,
he was
gives him a
Angelus,
soul.
he was a bad vampire.
Yeah, he has a soul, and apparently vampires don't have souls. See, vampires in the Buffy universe are inhabited by demons,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
They are
Phooey.
demons.
yeah, they are demons. They're like
Hold on. I guess you didn't hear me. Phooey.
Phooey.
Yes.
Right. But yeah, that and there's lots of different kind. And she's more of like the, because she gets her powers from like a lineage that they get a mole, some
Right.
kind of mark, and then they become vampire hunters.
I think that's
Mole.
cancer.
She had a mole.
If a mole pops up all of a
You get
sudden,
some
you should get it checked
melanoma,
out,
and then
and
you're a
don't think you're going to
vampire
become a
hunter, right?
vampire hunter. You should get it checked out, make sure you don't have like
Yeah, some sort of
cancer.
genetic thing that they're
Yeah.
Right.
the one.
But there's lots of other kinds of vampires,
Sure.
and hunters of them as well. Like Solomon Kane.
He hunted, yeah.
Solomon Kane hunted
Yeah.
vampires, among other things. So like, and then there's we've already talked about the Frog Brothers, but and the many visages of Van Helsing. But I mean, what are some other like vampire hunters that we haven't touched on? Let me think.
Other than the Frog Brothers and
Frog Brothers and Van
We
Helsing.
haven't touched on.
Yeah, we.
There's not a lot
Yeah,
that I
we
can
got all
actually,
the real
actually
popular
think
Or
of.
you know
I mean,
what?
obviously you've got like all the protagonists in every vampire movie ever.
Yeah,
Sure.
pretty much. I mean, like.
One that we've, I guess,
But
kind of
Dead
touched
Oh, the
on.
cowboy guy! The cowboy guy from
He was the best.
from Bram
Dark.
Stoker's Dracula.
He was the best guy in
guy-
Bram Stoker's
Yeah.
Dracula.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
cowboy guy. He had the
Not that
savage-
that was a like a hard. It's not like he had to climb over a mountain or anything to do this. But yeah, he was the best guy.
He had the
yeah.
savage, that savage rifle, the
Yeah.
rifleman.
Oh, he
had.
stabs Dracula with the Bowie knife.
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
favorite part of the movie right there. he's all like stabbed up and shot up, and he's stumbling towards Dracula, and he like his last little deal, he just sticks him with the Bowie knife.
Yeah,
It's like that's awesome. And then that's the
Is that a
good part of
Sam
the
movie knife?
John Carpenter's
damn right it
Vampires.
was.
James Wood.
James Woods, right? John. Yeah, we did talk.
Yeah,
about
we did.
John Carpenter. Vampires. What a
Well,
hideous movie. But
one
yeah,
that
we
we've
were talking about
something we've only barely touched
the
on
unknown
is
Baldwin brother with the
Yeah.
fat
What
guy.
about
Yeah,
Roddy?
the fat
Mc-
one.
what
The fat
about Roddy
Baldwin
McDowell
brother.
in Fright Night? You
That's
fuckers.
right.
Yeah.
or what about werewolves? There have been many movies and books about werewolves killing vampires.
That's right. Vampires and werewolves
They
don't
figure
get
that's-
along.
Underworld, we're back again.
Yep.
Well, not necessarily
Underworld,
Underworld.
yeah.
We were talking about Alan Costello meet Frankenstein, who
Yeah,
kills Count
yeah,
Dracula.
The werewolf does
the
not
Wolfman.
like Dracula.
The Wolfman was the one
How
hunting
does he do
Dracula.
it?
He grabs him and jumps into the ocean. That's another way you can kill
I don't-
vampires is running water.
Yeah, that's right. They can't
Oh.
cross running
Right.
water and like
They can't live in it either
We can't what?
because they
Live
killed
in
Dracula in
running
that
water.
in one of the Hammer Dracula movies too.
Oh, with
Yep.
the-
he
yeah,
was on the
river.
ice floe and they were and the guy was shooting up the ice and he was trying to keep his balance and he falls in.
Yeah,
That's right.
So
Well,
yeah,
in the book, I
werewolves
mean,
flat out don't like vampires.
Well, like the Count Orlok type character, like kills everybody on board the ship, and
Hmm.
that takes him to London, and then
What
he
happens
have
in Frankenstein versus Dracula?
There isn't a Frankenstein versus Dracula.
no.
Sure
There's
there is.
Evan Costello meets.
There's a Frankenstein versus the Wolfman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was.
Now there's a
sequel to
House of
that.
Dracula and a House of Frankenstein where basically every monster they could stick in there, they stuck in there.
Mhm.
But I don't think they would necessarily fought each other in those two.
Well, he sort of fights him in Van Helsing,
Well, yeah, and Van Helsing, but I
but
didn't want to
not
bring that up
not
again.
so much.
Why do we have to make this canon?
Yeah.
It's just so bad.
yeah.
Ugh. It's just that end scene with
It
Kate
gives bad a bad
Beckinsale
name.
and like her
Yeah.
parents in the clouds, and Van Helsing's all looking up at him, but they're hugging each other because they're with each other in the clouds. I laughed out loud. I was like it's supposed to be all touching, and people were looking at us like we were hideous people, and there was like 8 of us, and we were just
Jason was dressed as
bawling.
Lolcat the other night.
That's what I heard. He had a
God,
cat
that movie
mask on
sucked.
her.
I thought it was
So
Rat
Furry
Cat.
Fuck.
God, that movie was terrible.
Oh, no, it's so bad.
Oh.
Yeah, I
It's
got-
like
imagine
we've
playing the
touched
video
on
game.
that so much
There's
more
a
than
video
like
game?
There was
Near
a video
Dark
game,
Before
PS2.
there
or
was
30
a
Days
video
of
game.
Night or
Well, it's because it's kind of hard to crack on those. It's more fun cracking on stuff than.
Telling how good things
Yeah,
are.
Near
well,
Dark.
that was
It's like
great.
Bill Paxton's greatest movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bill
It's like that
Paxton.
and
I'm
Aliens.
part of the
That's
cult
all he's
of Bill
got.
Paxton,
Game
too,
over.
so.
Game
Game over,
over,
dude.
dude.
How they gonna
Game
turn off the
over,
lights?
man.
They're fucking animals.
But better than Game Over is the point in like Near Dark where he steps up on the bar and he's got the
Yes.
spurs on and he shoots the
Yes.
spurs across the bartender's neck
Right.
and then he jumps down, starts sucking on the vampire and he looks back at who's the guy that played Bishop?
Oh, what's that?
Because
Lance
if you'll notice,
Henriksen.
all the cast of Near Dark is the same cast.
It's
of
Lance
Aliens.
Henriksen.
Yeah.
Like all the way down to Vasquez and all them. They're all
He's the
in.
bad
That's
guy
right,
in the.
she is in that.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
she's Bishop's
Like
paramour.
Yeah, yeah.
But Bill Paxton's like sucking on this bartender's hairy neck, and he looks back and he's like, "I hate it when they ain't been shaved."
Lance
See, that's
Henriksen
something
is
you
the
don't see.
bad guy in the
Lance
Brian
Henderson.
Bosworth movie.
Lance Henderson. That's right.
Lance Henriksen.
Hendrickson.
I'm
In the-
old.
in
I can't
Brian
remember
Bosworth
people's names.
movie.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in the Brian Bosworth movie, like the first Brian Bosworth.
Cold as
movie.
ice.
Yeah, Lance
Oh,
Henriksen's
my
the bad
God.
guy.
I haven't seen that.
Why did that?
Fucking,
even
how
come
did
up?
we end up at
Yeah,
a Brian
yeah.
Bosworth movie?
Well, you used to ask me who Bishop
How did
was,
Brian
and that's Lance
Bosworth get a
Henriksen.
movie and Herschel Walker didn't?
Brian Bosworth's been in like many movies now.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Almost a
cold
dozen.
as ice for long.
Cold as ice.
Oh, God.
Oh man. There's the one we didn't talk much about was the
Tarantino movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Dust Till Dawn.
From Dusk to Dawn. I really
was
liked
enjoyable.
that.
Yeah,
bad
that
at all.
was a
Great movie.
great
Not
movie.
bad at all.
Very enjoyable.
Lots of
movie.
like vampire
Starts off as a
action
great
in
gangster
that and the
shoot 'em
whole-
up movie, ends
Yep.
up as a great vampire movie.
Right, right.
Crotch cannon.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Sex Machine's crotch
Machine.
cannon.
Sex
Yeah.
Machine.
Yeah, yeah. That's just a great, great
Caney,
vehicle.
that's what you're doing. Solomon Kane.
But yeah, I like the type of vampires you had in that too, where they're like,
The Mexican vampires.
yeah, the Mexican vampires are great. They turn into
Yeah.
like kind of bat people and stuff.
Yeah.
They have like
They also
Well,
fight
like-
that masked wrestler in a movie too.
And
it's
honestly, in
Selma
that movie,
Hayek, man.
yeah.
Man,
Well, they brought back the monstrous vampire,
right?
which really before that movie, I can't think of a movie that.
Other than remaking Nosferatu.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good
But,
point.
yeah.
But before that, like for 20 years, they hadn't done that.
Yeah, they didn't have the real monster
Right.
type of vampire, and
I
they
don't
don't.
know. Life Force was pretty monstrous.
Yeah, but
They
monsters,
were space
That's-
vampires.
monsters in a way that they weren't really
Good
vampires. They didn't have
And
like
that's early '80s.
they weren't
Yeah.
supernatural vampires in that so much. And
They were kind of aliens, weren't they?
They were
Yeah,
aliens.
They were
space
aliens.
vampires. Yeah.
Space vampires.
Some kind of space vampire.
I
Yeah.
only said that because it sounded funny to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of like different kinds of vampires. I guess we really gravitated towards the supernatural type, but there is the alien vampires as well too. I mean, did anybody ever see that awful like Dracula 3000 or whatever?
No.
The Dracula in space,
It's like up there with
thing,
Dracula.
Oh,
or like
Jesus.
where they're
Jason
As
going
good
to
as
the
the,
planet, like
Was
they're-
it good as Jason X?
Yeah, pretty
Maybe
much.
the greatest
Or
movie ever.
exactly
Hellraiser
like it.
Infinity or
They're
whatever
going
it
to
was.
like the planet Romania or something like
Oh.
that. I can't
Awesome.
remember exactly.
See,
how-
that sounds more like a movie made in the 50s than
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it
Dracula
was,
3000. We're going
but-
to the planet Romania.
yeah, they,
Sweet.
yeah, Dracula's like
Castle
on board
Dracula
this
on.
ship.
Is this Cape Silver?
No, it's like he's part like he's actual Dracula, but he's on a spaceship, and it's really far into the future.
It's like Bela Lugosi with
it's-
like an astronaut
It
helmet.
hardly worth talking about, other than being like one of the worst examples of like vampires in movies, and especially Dracula in a movie.
Worst examples of vampires in movies.
There's so many. Where do you even?
We're gonna start with George Hamilton.
I love
See,
George
it's
Hamilton.
it's
You
a
see, I
joke.
think
He's not supposed to be a scary vampire or
I get
anything.
that it's a comedy.
joke. It's like getting mad at Leslie Nielsen for Dracula Dead and Loving.
Yeah, that's right. Dracula Dead Loving. Or what?
Oh, that movie sucks.
Oh, I mean, come on, we're all of age. The Electric Company,
That's right.
Yeah.
the Vampire, Frankenstein, the Wolfman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They all taught us how to read.
Yeah, they did. It's their fault. I got taught how to read by monsters.
But yeah, Tom Cruise is a
Count.
vampire.
Yeah,
Bad.
that was
Man,
bad.
yeah,
That
Tom
was bad.
Cruise.
I mean, say what you will about the books or whatever that you read.
Yeah,
There's
but
no way that
Tom-
she was writing that with Tom Cruise in mind.
Shooting
I
Tom
heard she
Cruise
was
like
pissed
shooting
off
ducks
about
in a
it.
freaking.
until she saw it, and then she was okay
It's
with
not
it.
even
but
like
I think
shooting
they
fish
paid
in a
her
barrel.
off
It's
to
like
be
shooting
okay with it.
fish in like a 5-pound barrel with a 10-gauge
I-
shotgun.
to be honest, Brad Pitt's vampire was worse than
I
Tom
agree.
Cruise's.
I've always thought that was a
I
terrible
only made it about
idea.
halfway through the movie. I gave up because I didn't think there was going to be any
bad.
boobs.
I've never walked out on a movie.
It's bad.
I usually sleep through a movie because I figure I'm getting at least some of my
I
money's
slept
worth.
through
Hey, you know who
Godzilla,
was a good
though.
vampire?
Who?
The kid from the Sandlot in X-Files.
I remember
The
that
X-Files
The
did an
X-Files with the
episode where
vampire?
Mulder
Yeah.
goes to some
one. Little
like
redheaded kid, right?
shithead town in Texas, and it's the kid from the Sandlot, the really funky-looking kid that, well, every director cast as the funky-looking kid who was kind of fat,
Yeah.
and had a whole bunch of freckles,
Yeah,
and
redhead.
he was
Oh,
a pizza
yeah,
delivery
yeah.
boy.
Oh, I know.
And he
you're
was a
talking about.
vampire, and they played on like a really like kind of like underused part of vampire mythos is that vampires are really anal retentive, and that they can't stand to have disorder.
Like Von Count.
And so there's a scene where the kid like drugs Mulder, and Mulder realizes he's drugged and he's going under, but before the kid can fuck with him, Mulder throws out his bag of sunflower seeds, and the kid just looks at him. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna get it," and then starts picking up the seeds one by
Really?
one.
Yeah, but
But it
was
gives
just-
Mulder enough time to like overcome the effects of the drug.
Speaking of really bad actors who actually did a good job in a vampire movie, that Nicolas Cage vampire movie.
Oh, that's right.
What is the name of that? He's great in that.
Dead and Loving It?
No, what is
No,
that?
it's almost because he really wants to be a vampire because he gets like bit once by a vampire, and I guess it wasn't enough, and he gets a little bit of the things, and he eats bugs and stuff, and it's great. Much better than Jim Carrey in the one where he's supposed to be the virgin, and then like the old vampire
Oh,
lady
yeah.
with the gay black vampire valet.
Oh my gosh, what is that movie?
Is that Once Bitten?
I believe it is.
It is once bitten. Yeah.
James
Yeah.
is over checking out the interwebs,
A series of tubes.
which like kind of leaves us here alone.
Well,
Like,
we could talk about stuff.
We have complete control of Destructomundo for this
I know.
moment. So. We're gonna try not to mess it up. Let's be really, really quiet for like.
Let's give all the listeners the code word to set off
Yeah.
their
Firecracker.
swordfish.
Let's talk about like great looking pussies on screen. I'm gonna start with.
Do you
that.
mean like
I'm gonna start
guys
with
who
that
aren't
broad
tough
in the
or
Dragon
girls'
Slayer.
vaginas?
I'm gonna talk about that broad in Dragon Slayer, where the kid goes like
Oh,
under the
yeah.
water and gets to see that broad's bush.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's quality trim.
Yeah,
In the
Porky's
70s.
Porky's trim. That's good trim.
it's good stuff.
We're completely ruining the show.
Rosario Dawson
As we
in
speak. He's gonna have to edit all of this out.
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson.
the one about Peter the Great, or no, Peter the Great.
Speak
Blanking.
English.
Let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis's tits and Trading Places.
Very nice.
Perfect.
They're very nice.
Perfect.
Very, very nice.
Adrian Barbeau in The Swamp Thing.
Nice rack.
Jamie Lee
Outstanding,
Curtis
right?
got a 1.
She got a what?
She's got it 1. She wins.
No.
We're lost without you, James. We're starting to talk about tits.
We are set adrift.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Our 2 female viewers have clicked off.
Totally devolved, didn't it? Oh my god. No,
Yeah.
it's a vampire's kiss.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
good stuff right
Yeah.
there.
What's the one with the girl
Glad I
that like
remember that.
bites the guys and then they all become vampires? The the
Mag
mob
Bar,
guys.
the movie.
Oh, the mob
Oh,
vampire
I know what
movie.
you're
Yeah,
talking
that
about.
was actually watchable.
Yeah, the one where she bites the mob guy, but then the mob comes, interrupts her from
Finishing him off.
finishing him
Yeah.
off, and then he becomes a vampire and turns all his mob buddies into
Yeah.
vampires.
So it's like the vampire mob.
So instead of turning,
Never seen that.
because that's another thing we didn't talk about, the mechanics behind somebody becoming a vampire. Because
Yeah.
if you're bitten by a vampire, you don't necessarily become a vampire, but in that movie you did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
traditionally, you have to be turned.
You have to be drained of your blood, and then.
Well, now
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, there's all
that's
kinds
Ian
of different-
Rice.
that's-
Ian
that's-
Rice.
yeah,
But
that's
I've
a-
seen that. In other
There's
ones.
all
I've
kinds
seen,
of different
I've seen you
rules
had to
as
be
far
bit
as that
3
goes.
times by a vampire. You had to
Yeah.
have all your blood drained by a vampire. He's had to let you drink his blood to become a vampire.
Right.
That's
right.
the big one.
Which I like that one the best.
Mhm.
That one obviously
Makes
gives you,
sense.
he chooses you, you become a vampire.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
even 30 Days a Night kind of has that kind of zombie effect. Like you get touched by a vampire and your ass is
Well, they said basically it tells. Well, I'm not going to ruin it, but let's just say they
Yeah.
make sure
Ruin
that
it.
they don't accidentally
No,
create. They
don't.
try to make sure they don't accidentally create
Spoiler
vampires.
alert. Spoiler alert. So
I don't
Well,
wanna
that's not
spoil
going
it.
to
And
change
I'm
anything
going
in
to
the movie.
spoiler alert anyway. If you haven't seen it, tough shit.
I haven't seen it.
The head vampire says, we have to cut everybody's head off,
Because they don't want.
which is a way,
Excess
which is a
vampires.
valid way of killing
Yeah.
a vampire, is removing the head of the
Right.
corpse.
see, my Rachel, who was on the zombie first zombie show,
Mm-hmm.
asked me one day at work. She was like, "How do you kill a cat people?" And
How
I'm
do you
like,
kill
"I don't
what?
know, cat people." And so I had to call Derek at work and ask him. We're at work. I worked with her at the time, and I called Derek and I'm like, "How do you kill a cat people?" And he's like, "I don't know. I guess cut off their head." And so we figured, yeah, that works for pretty much
Works
everything,
just about everything.
Yeah.
except for the thing.
Yeah, well.
yeah.
And then it grows legs and crawls away, and so
Yeah.
yep.
Hmm.
But yeah, you can cut off pretty much any supernatural being's head and do
It'll
them in.
work.
But yeah, that's in turning vampires, you do have the prospect of them not becoming a vampire.
Be cleric.
It's funny. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, man, you got to be a high level cleric to turn a vampire.
Yeah, turn a vampire, right? Get your big.
And when you
cross
turn
on.
one, all that does is make them flee, right?
Yeah. Though I think if you get high enough level, you can actually
just
destroy
destroy
them.
them.
Yeah, you destroy them with your
Like a
face.
high level cleric just burns zombies.
Oh,
to death.
that's
Yeah.
awful. But with the advent of modern machinery, you can really destroy vampires in much more cunning ways, such as the Frog Brothers' use of the squirt gun
Yes.
to deliver holy water.
Beverly Hills Vampire, Eddie Deason. Eddie Deason, one of America's greatest film actors.
Wait a second, is that the one with what's the vampire movie with Eddie Murphy in it?
Oh god, that's like a vampire in Brooklyn or something.
Yeah, Vampire.
That's
in Brooklyn.
garbage.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
But Beverly Hills Vampire, Eddie Deason, he's the guy. I'm trying to think of something you might remember him from. 1942, he's the guy with the ventriloquist dummy sitting in the Ferris wheel.
I remember that.
So he's the hero in Beverly Hills Vampire, and he's got the big squirt gun, and it's full of holy water, and he squirts like the prostitute vampire with the holy water, and he says, I quote, "Have some Pope soda."
Nice.
I laughed and laughed and laughed. Listeners, go watch that movie.
So what movie is this again?
Beverly Hills Vampire,
Beverly
and
Hills
of course watch Los Vampiros Lesbos.
Los Vampiros.
Spanish film. Mwah.
And make sure to watch The Seven Golden Vampires.
And
Yes.
Near Dark.
Yes, the
And Near
Shaw
Dark.
brothers and the Near Dark.
Yeah.
Near Dark, like I said, the word vampire is never spoken in the entire movie.
I think that there's a reason.
uh,
for
Well, it's-
that,
I
and
think it's-
a
It
lot
was
of had to
directed by
do-
James Cameron's, at the time, I believe, mistress, but ultimately, I believe his wife,
Yeah.
or one of his wives.
one of his
And
wives.
she used almost all of his cast from Aliens. It was done right after Aliens was
Yeah.
done, and it's this strange play on the mythos of vampires in modern era.
What's the beautiful
And-
thing about it is that they don't have to say the word vampire because vampires are such a force in pop culture that everybody knows by their actions that they're vampires.
And they don't have fangs.
No.
If you notice something, none of the
Yeah.
characters have fangs.
it's
drink,
like in
to
the-
drink the blood. It seems like they have to like
Cut 'em
almost
open
every
with
scene
something.
they have to cut
Yeah.
them open.
Well, in the
somehow.
Hunger, they don't have fangs. They
And
have
those
like
those vampires
tongue.
use guns. And
Proboscis.
but they do speak about immortality. You have Lance Henriksen speaking about like, I fought in the Civil War. Well, what side were you on? We lost.
Right.
That kind of thing. And then you have the kid, who's been turned as a vampire when he was like 10 years old, and he's upset, so he wants to turn another like little girl to be his own paramour. So you have that nice little bit of pathos, like, I'm stuck being a little kid. You turned me when I was 12 years old. So
Well,
I've
that's
been,
like the girl
I've been 12
in
years old for
Interview with the
75
Vampire,
years.
too.
I'm
Claudia.
sick of it, and I
Claudia.
got a boner.
Claudia. Yeah.
No, wait,
Interview
I
with
have
the
one.
Vampire. I forgot her name was Claudia. Yeah, but it's that little kid vampire thing is kind of creepy. And then
Sort of like a little kid zombie.
Yeah, that's the one. This is a weird thing. It's like a little kid vampire is a lot creepier than a little kid werewolf.
yeah, little kid.
Because I guess a little kid werewolf could keep growing and turn into an adult.
Oh, we left that grandpa.
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 Yeah.
How do you leave out
Al,
Grandpa?
Grandpa Lewis.
Oh,
Yep.
Grandpa. I couldn't believe
Now
it.
that is a vampire who uses magic a whole lot
Yep.
and science.
I'm going to make
Yeah.
something
Super
in the
science.
basement.
Yeah. Never
Yeah.
drained anybody, but
And his son-in-law is
Was a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
That's right.
His daughter was another vampire.
Yep.
yep.
And his grandson
And his
was
grandson
a
was a
Mothman.
werewolf.
Yep. Yep.
Man,
she
that guy
just
must
died
have been
last
pissed.
year.
Vonda Carlo.
Yeah, Vonda Carlo.
Yeah. Is Butch Patrick still alive?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
Butch Patrick is still alive. And
Al Lewis just
he's a
recently
little
died.
kid
Al Lewis
werewolf.
only died like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Al Lewis looked that old like the day he was born.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. We almost left out.
I can't believe we almost left out Grandpa.
I
I've got the
know,
first
that'd been
season of the Monsters
terrible.
on DVD.
Oh, the
and
Monsters
it's great.
is awesome.
Speaking of which, I'm going to say this here, so there's like lots of people that know this. Do you still have those DVDs I loaned you?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
They're all
Well,
in a
it's-
pile on
all
my
right.
desk.
that's fine. Just as long as you remember.
Well,
Viewer-
now everyone knows
listeners,
that he
please
borrowed
send-
a pile of DVDs from you.
Yeah, listeners, please send your emails in to James and remind him constantly.
That I have his DVDs,
Yeah.
right. I
What
didn't
are
even make
they?
copies of them on my desk.
Super
know what?
Friends, Batman,
Oh, they're
a
Super
bunch of other
Friends,
stuff.
Batman the animated series,
The Tick.
The Tick.
Uh,
Remember we watched The Tick
Good.
over your house?
I
Yep,
do.
Yep.
I do.
And
Oh, so you're letting Filthy Mike watch my DVDs?
yeah, I let him rub his stuff up on them first.
It was awesome.
made him extra special. So if you sniff your DVDs, there's a little extra
You're
something on
smelling
there.
me.
Yeah.
It's not plastic. Mark went to take a break, so we'll have to wait till he comes back to.
I don't think he's a big Monsters guy. We can keep going with Grandpa.
Go
if
with the
you want.
Munster. Grandpa Munster is just great, though.
Yeah, it was a great character.
And it really couldn't have been played by anybody else. But yeah, the way
Yeah.
that like
Why didn't that vampire catch on? Like the wisecracking old vampire.
I don't
rather than
know.
the
That's
gay
a
young
good
vampire.
question. Yeah, I don't know. There should have been more of that than there was.
Yeah.
The gun-toting vampire and the young like.
Well, it's easier to make a movie with a gun-toting vampire. I mean,
Plus, you got to find the right old man because Leslie Nielsen didn't do it
right?
as Dracula, and Dracula
Right.
didn't loving it.
No, not
no,
quite.
he didn't.
Well, he's not short and kind of dumpy and
Yeah,
he's not a
That's
Jewish
some of
comedian.
it.
That's the
No.
thing.
Jerry Seinfeld maybe.
as he gets older, could
As
be a
he
good
gets older,
vampire.
could play that.
Yeah.
maybe.
Good borscht belt
yeah,
vampire.
Yeah, borscht belt vampire, which is really the home of vampirism anyhow. So yeah,
It's true.
Eastern European, Russian Jews
Yeah.
should be
Yeah.
vampires,
Should be up there.
right? And that's the thing. I mean, there's so many like Baltic region
And
vampires.
gypsies.
Yep. God. Doing your driveways.
It was a
cursing
vampire story. It was like set in
ya, cleaning out your gutters,
where was Mangala?
roofing your house.
Mangala was in Ravensbrück.
Austria.
Yeah, was that where he was?
I think so.
Well, they almost killed everybody in the camp because of the cholera epidemic that broke out.
Right.
Well, there was like I think it was a short story that I read where it's like the Nazi commandant or whatever of the camp has figured out that some of the gypsies that they've got in there are actually vampires, and that's why he orders like everybody killed because he's
Really?
trying to get rid of the vampires that are killing his guards.
Well, you see, that's the thing.
I can't remember what
Ted
that was. It was a great
and
short story.
Myself and let's see, Danny and Bill and Sam all played the. I think it was the very last time. No, it wasn't the very last time, but it was close to being the very last time that we ever played Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
Played as Nazis. We played as Nazi ghouls, like where we
Yeah.
hunted down vampires and drank their blood to stay alive. But I went as Otto Skorzeny.
Yep.
Let's see. Ted went as Reinhard Heydrich. Bill went as some crazy like Czechoslovakian like secret policeman,
Yeah.
and Sam went as Joseph Mengele.
Mangala.
And Sam's Jewish, and it was just very funny to see. Okay, he actually went as like the Joseph Mengele from Boys from Brazil, and wore like the linen suit with the Panama hat and everything. It was the greatest. But that was a whole lot of fun, and believe it or not, we were the only people to live in the whole thing. Like this guy that was playing a priest in the game, like made the sun come out on a giant like group of vampires that were all getting ready to kill us, and like all the vampires that were there just like disintegrated because they, I don't know, whatever the rules are on sunlight, this priest made the sun come out and like everybody fried, and the guy that was like leading the group, and it was literally everyone there was getting ready to kill us because we had been going around.
Because y'all were acting like Nazi assholes.
Yeah, we were Nazi assholes. We were all wearing suits. Dudes didn't know who we were, and they were like, "What the fuck?" And so like, and this guy was like, "You're dead too," and we were like, "We're ghouls." And he was like, "Oh man!" And it was just, I don't know.
I was already passed out at that point.
It was a
there
Pyrrhic
are very,
victory
very
because
few,
ultimately we
scenarios
were
in
still
which vampires
total
do
nerds.
well in the sunlight.
Yep, sunlight is a bad thing for vampires, and that's another.
In fact, that's
All vampire scientists
and
work
I have to throw it on Antichrist again. Like only the oldest of vampires can walk around in the sun.
Yeah, and apparently if they do, they'll get a tan, and everybody else will burst into flames and take lots of hit points of damage.
Yep.
They have to make a saving throw versus death.
But the stake through the heart remains the archetypal.
What's the safest time to go kill a
vampire
vampire because it's daytime?
Right.
He's in his coffin and he's
Lots
got to
of
take
that
his
going
nap.
on in Now I'm Legend.
Yeah.
Richard Matheson's book, we've referenced it
Kills
so
them
many
during the
times.
day, burns the bodies.
Right. And
Yeah,
exactly.
I Am
and
Legend
it's-
kind of plays into almost every scientific or parascientific way that the Earth could end.
Right. And it is a great. I mean, it's the last guy on Earth, so. I mean, which is to this day my favorite
fantasy.
episode. So
Not mine.
I love it.
I want to be the last guy on Earth.
I
That
hunt
is
my
my
own
desire.
food for the rest of my life. That
My
sounds
heartfelt
tedious.
desire is that everyone dies but me. And I like you guys.
See, I just want to be some sort of
Hey.
weird, cosmic overlord that completely rules the planet.
Sounds better.
But Xenu, don't sue us.
Yeah, I was going to say we already cracked on Tom Cruise. We're in trouble.
Tom Cruise is not a homosexual.
Nor does he
And he's really, really tall.
believe in Xenu. He really does believe in Xenu.
Me too.
Whichever won't get me sued
Yes.
is what I'm trying to say. So I guess that kind of brings us to a wrap for the Halloween episode of the show, unless anybody has something we need to add in, because we did almost forget Grandpa. How
That
could we
was
almost forget
brutal.
that?
Yeah.
He was pretty powerful, man.
Yeah, I mean, he
Magic,
made all-
science. Get a strong son-in-law to help you move things.
Yep.
Who didn't quite get along with him, but obviously always obeyed
Well,
him.
nobody gets along with their in-laws perfectly.
No, and who really can?
Yeah.
But whatever the case.
I mean, dude's boning your daughter.
We've eaten a lot of
James, you're looking at that thing like, oh, I forgot to press record.
no,
That would be awesome.
it is recording. So.
Oh, I forgot to.
But yeah, so I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Halloween and
Happy Halloween.
Blah.
hopefully nobody gets
Tricked and gets plenty of treats.
sure lots of candy.
No razor
Halloween
blades.
is so much fun.
I love
There's just
Halloween.
not. There are so few holidays that just incorporate the sheer fun of Halloween, especially
Indeed.
when we were kids. I feel sorry for the current generations that are enraptured of fear of candy apples and razor blades.
See, and it's all a myth because if
all
you,
that bull. Yeah,
the
there's
only
almost
person-
absolutely no instances of a child being harmed by this bullshit.
In fact,
They're-
there's only one that's actually on the books, and it was found out to be the parents of the child.
Yep.
Trying to mask
It's
their
so
poisoning
sad because
of their
I
kid.
mean, Halloween as a child for me was I'd have given up Christmas any day of the week.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Halloween
for
is
sure.
awesome. I love
And
it.
I had great parents and I got some good shit for Christmas, but I'd have given it up
Yep.
without a second thought for that one night of the year that I get to go out all night long and
Run around,
just run around the
smash
neighborhood
pumpkins,
wearing a
get candy.
costume.
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny, the older that I've got, the more that I've enjoyed Thanksgiving than Halloween.
Really?
It's like, oh, I'm gonna eat myself into a coma on Thanksgiving. This is gonna be awesome. Mashed potatoes, turkeys.
Well, as an
Whereas
adult,
before, as a kid, I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to eat candy till I die.
As
Yeah,
an adult,
right.
all you get to look forward to on Halloween is seeing chicks dressed slutty.
Yeah.
Hey, which is
Get
the
Get the
purpose
toilet,
of
getting the toilet
Halloween.
paper out of your
Truthfully,
tree in the front yard.
That's what Halloween's for. Is to get girls to dress slutty.
Yeah.
I've got a taser for Halloween.
Here, here.
I'm going to taser any kids that
Dress light.
hit my tree. And any slutty
soap up
kid.
your windows. Throw eggs at your house. Flaming
Ooh,
bag of
slutty
dog
nurse.
poo.
Ooh, slutty witch. Ooh, slutty devil. Playboy bunny.
Right on. So,
Republican.
so take candy from strangers is what we're trying to
Yeah.
advocate. So,
But the joys are gone, man. It's just, that simple, like, Halloween joy.
Yeah.
yeah, they are.
It's been sucked out of our society, and it's a shame.
But
The war on Halloween. Why didn't O'Reilly do one of those? I've
Yeah,
seen him do
but-
the war on
but-
Christmas. He should do the war on
we
Halloween.
still have
Anti-Christian.
the strength of the 4th of July, and we can still explode things and
blow
light
stuff
Yeah.
up. Right on.
And
Still
that's
blow
the only
stuff
other
up.
holiday that I would have
Still
given
gorge
up before I
ourselves
gave
on
up
trans
Christmas.
fats on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Give me plenty of fireworks.
We can
for
still spend
Christmas
way
and
too
I'll
much
blow
money
them
on
up
Christmas.
the 4th of
Man, I can
July.
eat fattening food all year long, man. I can't blow shit up outside all year long, so I got to give 4th of July the nod on that.
Yep, that's our right as Americans.
Yeah.
Is to blow stuff up or to have sparklers, depending on what state you're in.
Mm.
Although I
Blow
didn't
stuff
make
up depending on what country you're in. That's all right as Americans.
Allah Akbar.
Well, from all of us to all of you, happy
Happy Halloween.
Happy
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween.
Halloween. And good night.
Nuts.
To you.